Hello and welcome to my video. I'm CloudyEmerald and I'm going to review the first few hours of Final Fantasy VII Remake. I've only played around 14 hours of game, and so far I have mixed feelings about it. First, I'd like to go over what really jumped out at me early that I liked. Then I'll go over what I kind of figured the game would be before I picked it up. Then my overall thoughts about the early game of Final Fantasy VII Remake. Now this will be a mostly spoiler-free review, and I will be adding random gameplay, just so you get a feel of what the combat and the story looks like. So, first things first, something positive.
Okay.
The game is absolutely beautiful. Maybe it's because I've been stuck playing Battle Royale games for the past year and a half, with the same character skins, the same maps, and free-to-play gameplay. But I am really amazed on how this game actually looks in the finished product. Sometimes I had to remind myself just to stop and look around. I just kind of wanted to rush through the first early parts of the game. You know, I'm not sure if there ever was a bad looking Final Fantasy game, but if there was one, this one definitely isn't one of them.
I thought about leaving once, but in the end, I couldn't.
I'm trying to keep a positive mindset, because I know most game remakes just fall short, and your expectations are so high because you love the original game. So I'll try not to have too harsh criticisms just because of nostalgia's sake. But early on in this game, what I do not like is the flow of the story. Now this might be a spoiler alert, but the characters of Avalanche early game in the original Final Fantasy, I want to say die within the first hour or two of gameplay. Now, this may be because I wanted to be a completionist, but the remake, I spent 10 hours with those characters. Now, that's 10 hours of story and gameplay that didn't really seem necessary. We all know eventually what happens if you've ever played Final Fantasy VII. Now the reason why I think this is a bad thing is because if you're adding all the story for these characters early game, do you then have to take away from story late game? And that might not make too much sense, but if I'm going to spend 10 hours on these characters, are they going to take out hours of characters at the end game? I mean, how much are they going to pad these side characters and side stories? How much is this just a filler? Think of it as a filler season for your favorite anime. Whether it be Bleach, Naruto, they always have that one season that is just complete nonsense. It doesn't have anything to do with the main story. It's just a filler to catch you up. Now, I'm not sure what the reason to this game to have so many hours of filler gameplay. Like, I understand you don't necessarily play with or as the characters of Avalanche, but they're heavily involved early. I just don't see why that makes much sense. Now, this game might surprise me. I mean, this gameplay might be 80 plus hours. So the first 10 to 14 hours that I did play is just the beginning. I'm just ready to feel like I'm in the game and I'm out of the tutorial of the game. Now to speak about the combat. You have your favorite spells, you have the materia, you have a new weapon upgrade system that's pretty interesting and kind of easy to master. They really don't overcomplicate things with the combat. Now, some people might see it as simple combat, button mashing, wait until your gauge fills up and then just shoot out a quick spell. But I do think there's enough there with the different characters. Now, one huge criticism about the combat is the camera, the lock-on system. I don't know if you felt this way, but I feel the camera was just horrible in combat. You're switching to multiple different enemies at once, trying to look around, trying to actually not look through a wall, but see what you're actually hitting. And it's constantly moving from character to enemy to enemy, and you can never feel like you're actually fighting one enemy at a time. And it makes the gameplay really jumbled, especially when you have 3 different characters and you're trying to switch between them, or maybe even use their ability or an item to heal another character. It's just hard to tell where you're at and to get your bearings straight when you're in an intense fight. When you go to your menu and like, okay, let me use this ability. Wait, this is Tifa. I'm playing with Cloud. Why does Cloud's ability not pop up first? It makes the combat feel very jumbled, and maybe it's just something that I have to get used to. But it is an RPG, and I do believe there's enough variation in their fighting styles between the characters. Barrett with his gun, Tifa with the fist, and then Cloud with his big ass sword. So to wrap everything up, my overall thoughts is this game looks great. The gameplay is entertaining enough, but I really want the story to pick it up a notch. And hopefully this won't just be a side quest filled snooze fest. Now that might seem a little harsh, but I'm trying to stay positive. Be sure to tell me what you think about the game. If you've played it or beat it, please no spoiler alerts. And add comments about what do you think about my review. Do you share the same opinions, different opinions? I would love to hear your opinion, even if it differs with mine, and we could discuss it in the comments below. Thank you for watching.
I think we still need a few more. Which should we pick next? That's the one I gave you.
Huh, it is?
Nice try, mister. You can't fool me.